All right, so we are looking at the same things we were looking at last week. We're looking at taking a real-world situation, being able to write our linear equation from that still, not just being able to find the y-intercept and the slope, but able to interpret those in the context of the situation. So there's two different types of real-world situations that we might come across here. One of them looks a little different than the other because the graph a lot of times is easier in interpreting what our x and y values are, and then sometimes we just have a description given to us. Also, last week we looked at more of what do we do if we've already been given the slope and y-intercept. This time we're having to actually find the slope and y-intercept from those real-world situations and then make that equation. For this first problem here, a video club charges a one-time membership fee plus a rental fee for each DVD borrowed. We're going to use the graph to write an equation in slope-intercept form to represent the amount spent Y and the X DVD rentals. Now this problem gives you extra clues as to what the X and Y values represent. It tells you in the problem that we're looking at the amount spent on DVDs is your Y and the X value is the DVD rentals. We don't necessarily need that because we have a graph that tells us the same thing. When you have a graph, look at the labels along the Y and the X axis. Here along the Y axis, it again tells us that the amount spent on DVDs is our Y and that the rentals, the number of DVD rentals, is going to be our X value. So when we say what do the X values represent, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for what is the context of that X. Our X is the number of DVD rentals. And what do the Y values represent? Our Y represents the amount spent on DVDs. We've also talked about that Y per X phrasing. You really need that to be able to figure out the context of your slope. So it's not necessarily that you need it to find slope, but you need it to be able to interpret what that slope means. If you've already determined what the X and Y values represent, this phrasing is not difficult to do. It's always the Y value per the X value. So if I'm looking at what is my Y per X, I know that the Y is the amount spent on DVDs. My X is my number of DVD rentals. Then I'm looking for the money per DVD rental, or the money spent per DVD rental. So we're basically talking about what is the cost per DVD here. That's going to help us interpret what the slope means when we get to that point. The next question is asking, what does the slope mean in the context? Well, before we can interpret that, we actually have to find the slope. The only information we have comes from the graph. When we have a graph, I'm going to draw that line here, we find slope by using either rise over run or fall over run. What type of slope is this on this graph? Can anybody tell me? Right? It's a positive slope, so that means we're going to use the rise over run. How many points do you need to find slope, no matter if we're talking about slope formula, table method, or if we're doing it from a graph? Hezzy? 2. We need 2 points no matter which of those methods we're using. Do you think, Vernon, it matters what those 2 points are? It doesn't, right? As long as the 2 points come from your line on your graph, then that you can use any 2 points. I like to use them close together because that just means I have less simplification that I have to do. So I'm going to use 2 of these points, but before I do, I have to recognize, this is important, if my increments are the same along my Y and my X axis. We saw last week that if they're different, that can very much affect what your slope ends up being versus if they're the same. They may be the same, they may be different. You always have to check. Along my Y axis here, I can see that every 2 of those boxes equals 4, which means every 1 box on my Y axis equals 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and so on. I'm going to check along the x-axis. Again, I see every 2 boxes again equals 4. So again, my 1 box is equal to 2. So in this case, they're the same, but we always have to check because we again saw last week that they could be very different, and that's going to affect what your rise over your run ends up being. Now that we know they're the same increments, we can actually start that rise over run process. If I decide these are my 2 points I'm using, I'm going to do the rise over the run. When I rise from the left point up to that corner, I'm rising up 2. When I run from that corner to that second point, again, I'm running 2 because they are the same increment here. 2 divided by 2 means my slope equals 1. Once I have the slope, I still have to interpret that. That's where this phrasing is going to come into play. Our slope is directly linked to what that phrasing tells us. That's why we really need it. If it's the y per x is the cost per DVD rental, that's how much it costs per DVD. And our slope is 1. Who can tell me what is the cost per DVD? Vernon? Well, it's $2 for 2 DVDs.
Oh, $1.
$1. That's what our slope tells us. It's 1 here, right? This number directly links to the cost per DVD. If our slope is 1, that means it's $1. Change colors here. $1 per DVD. For each DVD you rent, it's going to cost an extra $1. Then we have to still find what is that y-intercept. When it comes to one quadrant, and most of the time real world situations are represented in just one quadrant, that is your starting value of the situation. That's what's starting before you start renting any DVDs. That's going to be how much we have to pay out for that one-time membership fee. Because our situation says it's a one-time membership fee plus the rental fee. We found the rental fee right here. We still have to figure out what is that membership fee. Oh, Lisa? Okay. Aiden, you're being dismissed. So when we're looking at what's the beginning value, that's where your line begins on this graph. And it begins where? Where does our line begin here? Aiden? Aiden, your hand was up. Not you, Aiden. You're going by Aidenless. Aiden Gibson, your hand was up. Was it because you were confused? Okay. Hezzy? I asked, what is the starting point of our relationship? What's the starting value of our line here? Well, where is the line starting at? We're looking at our line here, right? Where does it start? At 8. That's what you're looking for the y-intercept on the graph. You're just looking for where is it starting along the y-axis. So if we're starting at 8, that means our y-intercept, our b, equals 8 here. Now we said, what does it mean in the context of this graph? Well, we know we have a rental fee plus a one-time membership fee. If 8 is how much we're paying at the beginning before we start renting anything, that is that one-time membership fee. It's your initial value. $8, you're going to have to pay $8 before you're allowed to start renting any DVDs at all. So that 8 represents is the one-time membership fee. All that's left to do is to make the equation. We have our slope. We have our y-intercept here. We're going to plug those into our equation, which is going to be y equals mx plus b. So our linear equation ends up being y equals 1x plus 8. Our total amount is equal to 1 times the DVD rentals plus the $8 membership fee in the beginning. Questions about this problem here? The slope, the y-intercept, the equation, what those contexts came from. All right, we're not going to do the second problem, so you can cross that out. but we are going to move down to this situation here. The rent charge for space in an office building is a linear relationship, which means we're going to have a line on the graph, which means we are going to have y equals mx plus b, and it's related to the size of the space rented. We're going to write an equation in slope and intercept form for the rent at West Main Street office rentals. This is the only information we have. Now, with our other word problems last week, you were given the slope and the y-intercept in a problem, but you did not have to solve for the slope and y-intercept. You just had to determine which one was which. We don't have two numbers given to us. We have 600 square feet for $750, 900 square feet for $1,150. That's not two numbers, that's four numbers. If you have four numbers given to you, that means you've been given two ordered pairs, and you're going to have to solve for slope. That means you still have to determine what is your x value and what is your y value to use those ordered pairs to be able to solve. We talked about how x is usually time. We don't have time here. Y is usually a total cost. We do have a total value. We have $750 and $1,150. Those are total values of those rental places, which means these are going to be our y values here, and these square footage over here are our x values. So our ordered pairs are going to be 600, 750, 900, 1150. We just said our x values represent the square footage when we determine what was what. So our x is the number of square feet. Our y is going to be the number of, or the amount, sorry. Our y is the amount per, the total amount of the rental space. So the y per x, once you determine what the x and y value is here, it's just figuring out the y over the x. If we're talking about the total amount for the rental space as our y, the number of square feet, y per x tells me that I'm trying to figure out what is the money per square foot. That's what our slope is going to interpret to. Now, to find the slope this time, we have two ordered pairs, which means we're going to have to use our formula or the table, y minus y over x minus x, or use that table method with those ordered pairs. If I use y minus y, that's going to be 1150 minus 750. X minus x is going to be 900 minus 600. 1150 minus 750 is 400. 900 minus 600 is 300. I can simplify that down. Those zeros are going to cancel to 4/3. That's going to be our slope. Now, this is the rare occasion where we're talking about money, so converting this fraction to decimal would be an appropriate thing for us to do. 4/3 is really 1 1/3, which means I'm looking at $1.33 for our slope. The only reason this would be a good idea is because we're talking about value of money. If we're looking at what is the context here, that means I'm looking at $1.33 per square foot. That's the context of my slope here. The y-intercept, we would have to do the plugging in again to be able to find what is that b value. What is the starting value before the square footage comes into play? What's the starting value you're going to have to pay? Y equals mx plus b. Let's use this first ordered pair. My 750 is my y. Slope is $1.33 times 600 plus b here. $1.33 times 600, I believe is, oh, hold on.